Hello everyone, welcome back to our podcast. I am Udit Chauhan and with me is my co-host Nabya.
Hey everyone, we have an important topic lined up for today: anti money laundering or AML and combating the financing of terrorism, also known as CFT.
These terms might sound technical but they are critical concepts in fight against organized crimes and terrorism. Today we'll break down what they mean, why they matter and how they impact all of us.
Yeah, so we'll also look at some real world regulations surrounding AML and CFT and explore the future challenges in this area.
So let's get started by understanding what money laundering is all about.
Segment 1: Understanding Money Laundering.
Money laundering is essentially a process that criminalizes use of disguise, the origins of the illegally obtained money, making it appear as though it comes from a legitimate source.
Imagine a drug dealer who has millions of dollars in cash. If they tried to deposit that money directly into a bank, it would raise immediate suspicion. Instead, they use a series of transactions to hide the illegal source of the money. This process is what we call as money laundering.
Money laundering generally occurs in three stages: placement, layering, and integration. Let's break this down one by one.
First, there is placement stage. This is when dirty money is introduced into the financial system. The goal here is to get the illegal funds into a legitimate bank account, often though cash deposits, gambling, or purchasing assets like art or real estate.
Next, we have the layering stage. Here, the money is moved through various transactions to obscure its origin, basically to hide its origin. The money could involve transferring money between different bank accounts, countries, or using even companies as well. The aim is to create a complex web of transactions that makes it difficult to trace the original source from where the money came.
So now finally we have the integration stage. This is where the cleaned money re-enters the economy, appearing as legitimate business earnings or assets. At this point, the money is indistinguishable from legally obtained funds.
Money laundering is not just a financial crime, it has serious social and economical impacts. It undermines the integrity of financial systems, facilitates corruption, and funds other criminal activities like drug trafficking and human trafficking.
And let's bring us to the flip sides of our discussion today: combating the financing of terrorism or CFT. Segment 2: Combating the financing of terrorism, that is CFT.
While money laundering is about disguising the source of illegal funds, that is CFT, is about stopping money from reaching terrorist organizations. Terrorism, as we know, requires funding, whether it's for recruiting, training, or carrying out any attacks or operations.
Interestingly, the sources of terrorist financing can be both illegal or legal. They may receive funds from criminal activities like smuggling, drug trafficking, or kidnapping. However, they may also receive funds through charitable donations, legitimate businesses, or state sponsorship.
This makes CFT particularly challenging, unlike money laundering, where the focus is on disguising the source of funds. CFT focuses on preventing the movements of funds, regardless of whether those funds were initially obtained or legally or illegally.
The key strategy here is to cut off financial support to terrorist groups, making it difficult for them to operate. This is why many countries have introduced stringent measures to monitor financial transactions and enforce sanctions on entities suspected of financing terrorism.
For example, the USA Patriot Act was enacted after 9/11 attack to enhance the US government's ability to detect and prevent terrorism financing. Similarly, the United Nations has a sanction list that targets individuals and organizations involved in terrorism.
But these measures are not always foolproof. Terrorist organizations often use creative methods to move money around, including the use of digital currencies, informal transfer systems like Hawala, and trade-based money laundering.
And that's why international cooperation is very crucial. The financial networks of terrorists and the money laundering often span multiple countries, making it necessary for nations to work together to detect and disrupt these type of activities.
Segment 3, that is legal framework and global cooperation. Now, let's talk about the legal frameworks and international cooperation efforts in place to tackle AML and CFT, one of the most influential organizations in this regard, in the Financial Action Task Force or FATF.
FATF is an intergovernmental organization founded in the year 1989 to develop policies to combat money laundering after 9/11 attacks. Its mandate was to expand to include combating the financing of terrorism.
The FATF sets international standards that countries should follow. These include recommendations on customer due diligence, record keeping, suspicious transaction reporting, and sanctions against non-compliant countries.
In addition, the FATF, other international organizations play a very important role. For example, Interpol, Europol, they provide critical intelligence sharing platforms. The United Nations has also imposed sanctions on entities linked to terrorism.
So, many countries have also implemented their own domestic laws. For example, India has the Prevention of Money Laundering Act, that is known as PMLA, which is criminalizes money laundering and provides for the confiscation of property involved in money laundering.
Just addition to this particular point which Nabya said right now with regard to PMLA, it is the same act under which the Chief Minister of Delhi, Arvind Kejriwal, is booked right now. Now coming to the further part of the particular segment is the European Union has its anti-money laundering directives which require member states to implement specific AML measures including customer identification, reporting of suspicious transactions and enhancing the due diligence for high-risk customers.
Global cooperation is crucial because money laundering and terrorist financing are often transnational crimes. Criminals and terrorists exploit differences in national regulations, so countries must collaborate to close this gap.
Segment four.
Segment 4, Challenges and Future Outlook.
Even with these frameworks in place, there are several challenges. One of the biggest is the rapid evolution of technology. Digital currencies like Bitcoin, blockchain technology, and animosity of the dark web present new hurdles for AMT and CFT efforts.
Criminals and terrorists are increasingly using cryptocurrencies to move funds anonymously cross borders, making it hard for the authorities to track and trace these transactions.
There's also the issue of regulatory arbitrage where the criminals exploit jurisdictions with weaker AML and CFT regulations. This requires a global coordination and consistent application of rules across the countries.
Another challenge is balancing privacy and security. Enhanced surveillance and reporting requirements can help detect suspicious activities, but they also raise concerns about privacy and data protection.
Looking ahead, the future of AML and CFT will likely involve leveraging technology like artificial intelligence, machine learning to analyze large data sets to detect patterns of suspicious behavior in real time.
We may also see more stringent regulations, especially around cryptocurrencies, as governments work to close the gaps that criminals exploit. Greater international cooperation will also be essential, as will continued dialogue between the public and private sectors. Now we move forward to our segment 4, that is challenges and future outlook. So despite these efforts, challenges remains the same. The rise of digital currencies and the dark web has made it easier for the criminals to launder money and finance terrorism anonymously. Regulators are constantly playing catch up with technology, trying to adapt existing framework to new threats.
Adding to the Nabia's point here about dark web and cryptocurrency, this has become a major gray area in the entire technology on our internet because this is something which cannot be traced and tracked and it becomes a very good spot for people like terrorists and other funders of terrorists for to operate, because they know they won't get caught because it is not traced or not and nor any record is kept over there. However, there are also advancements in technology like AI and machine learning, which are being used to detect suspicious transactions in real time. The future of AML and CFT will likely involve a combination of tighter regulations, advanced technology, and even greater international cooperation.
So now we move towards our segment 4, that is real world case studies. Now let's dive into some real world examples to see how AML and CFT efforts play out. One of most infamous cases in the Panama Papers scandal.
The Panama Papers were leaked documents that exposed how wealthy individuals and public officials use offshore tax havens to hide their wealth and launder money. This revelation led to numerous investigations worldwide, highlighting how complex money laundering schemes can be.
Another notable case is the HSBC money laundering scandal. The bank was fined $1.9 billion by US authorities in 2012 for allowing drugs cartels in Mexico and terrorists in the Middle East to launder money through its branches.
These cases show how financial institutions, when not vigilant or complicit, can become vehicles for money laundering. And terrorism financing is also highlighting the impact of regulatory oversight and internal compliance mechanism.
And of course, there is the notorious example of 9/11. The 9/11 Commission report highlighted how small sums of money carefully moved through global financial networks funded out of one of the most devastating terrorist attacks in history.
It was one of the biggest attacks on US, wherein two planes were crashed into the World Trade Organization's office, and it was a big terrorist attack, and it had huge funding because crashing planes into buildings requires a lot of training as well as funding. These cases studies underscore the need of robust AML and CFT measures, international cooperation, and a constant vigilance on such activities and transactions.
Now we will move towards our segment 5, that will be the role of technology. Technology has a dual role in the world of AML and CFT. On one hand, it presents new challenges like the rise of digital currencies, encrypted communication platforms. On the other hand, it provides new tools to fight them.
For example, AI, that is also known as artificial intelligence, and machine learning are increasingly being used to detect unusual patterns of financial transactions. These technologies can analyze large data sets much faster than humans to identify any suspicious activity happening in real time in any part of the world.
So now we'll move towards the conclusion. So to wrap things up, AML and CFT are critical in maintaining the safety and integrity of our global financial systems. These efforts not only prevent crime but also protect societies from devastating impact of terrorism.
Such activities should be stopped and should not be promoted at any cost. There has to be a proper mechanism, there has to be a proper framework of rules and regulations wherein we are able to curb such activities, because this might seem to be a money laundering case, but it might fruit into a big terrorist attack, which might take a lot of collateral damage as well as many innocent civilian lives. And with regard to all the terrorist activities happening all across the globe, they are very inhumane, and it causes a lot of damage to the human value, the life of a human. So now concluding it, it's a constantly evolving field, and staying informed is a key to understanding how these measures protect us.
Thanks for turning in today. We hope this discussion helped clarify the importance of AML and CFT. Until next time, stay informed and stay safe.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.